Alright, let's look at the day's noise versus the tape. You see a lot of golden age energy in his post today, manufacturing booming, steel surpassing Japan, exports on fire. But when we look at our measurement, NU jumped up 15% to 97th percentile, while DJT only jumped up 1% to 75th percentile. That divergence is fascinating. Walk me through why the steel maker is outpacing the stock.
It makes sense if you look at what he's amplifying today. He posted that image of the UAW highlighting Detroit diesel, adding a some amount shift and hiring workers because of strategic tariffs. NUE is up because investors are reacting to that specific industrial momentum, not just general political optimism. The market is pricing in the physical output, not just the rhetoric.
That's a great point on the UAW post. He shared that graphic showing Sean Fain and Mark DePaoli talking about job restoration after a tariff push. It feels like he's trying to manufacture consensus where there isn't much. But he also posted that image of the Ram pickup at the Essen Motor Show in Germany, right? Touting how they scrapped Biden-era EV mandates.
Yes, and he's framing it as unleashing oil and gas production. But look at the VIXY movement. It jumped up 108% to 79th percentile. That's not a calm market. That's a market hedging against volatility. You can't have booming exports and rising fear simultaneously without some underlying tension. He claims exports topped $200 billion for the number straight month, but the tape suggests investors are nervous about how long that lasts.
He definitely leans hard on those numbers. He says we're on pace for nearly $5 trillion in goods exports this year, calling it a historic victory. But he also posted that chart showing U.S. steel production exceeding Japan's for the first time in 26 years. Is there a disconnect between the Golden Age narrative and the VIXY jump? Why is the fear gauge rising if everything is winning?
Maybe it's the cost of entry. He posted that aerial image of the White House construction site, the military complex, at the East Wing, saying it's on cost and ahead of schedule, paid for by private donors. But then he also talks about collapsing crime and denaturalization efforts. The VIXY rise might be the market sensing that these aggressive regulatory shifts create uncertainty for the very supply chains he says are booming.
So you're saying the on-cost complex is a distraction from the broader instability. He also shared that link about Iran talks restarting Monday, claiming a deal is imminent. If a deal happens in Hormuz, wouldn't that drop VIXY? Why is NU up and VIXY up together?
Because NUE is reacting to the current protectionist policies, the tariffs on imports he signed in April, which he posted about in that photo of him holding the document. Those policies help domestic steel producers like NUE right now. But VIXY reacts to the future risk of those same tariffs causing a trade war or supply chain break. One is present benefit, the other is future peril. He wants us to focus on the NUE jump and ignore the VIXY.
That's a sharp distinction. So he's posting that image of the blue-collar conservative, book forward, tying tariffs to making America great again, while simultaneously posting about permanent daylight saving time. The mix of industrial policy and changing clocks.
Exactly. It's a broad brush. He mentions the Sunshine Act saves money on energy bills, which ties back to his oil production claims. But it's disjointed. You have steel production hitting 26-year highs against Japan, and you have a request for senators to release holds on a time bill. The market knows which one actually moves GDP.
Let's look at the endorsement chart he posted. It claims 99% of his endorsed candidates won, with specific breakdowns for Senate and House. He's using that to endorse Harriet Hageman and Darlene Graham Nordone. Does that political capital translate to the DJT stock jump? It only moved up 1% 75th percentile, which is modest compared to NUE.
Because DJT is a political proxy, not an industrial one. Investors see the winning chart he posted 183 of unhardy 5 candidates, but they also see the VIXY rising. They're buying NU for the tariffs today. They're holding DJT only because they believe the political power to maintain those tariffs. If the Iran talks fail, or if the exports stall, that DJT confidence evaporates faster than the steel volume.
So the Golden Age is built on the tension between the physical output he celebrates, steel, cars, exports, and the political volatility that VIXY measures. He's posting about Coast Guard cutters and border security to reinforce the strength narrative, but the tape tells a different story of risk.
Precisely. He's telling you everything is safe, secure, and booming. But the market is pricing in the cost of that boom. NUE is the beneficiary. VIXY is the insurance policy against the chaos required to get there.
That's the show. We're on Spotify and YouTube. If this earned it, like, subscribe, tell a friend. And housekeeping, the machine that writes this gets tuned constantly for cleaner news. The numbers are real, the jokes are not.